Hey, Scarefest fans, this is Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly. Now, this week, we're going to, in the next couple of weeks on Bonehead, dedicate a whole episode to haunted house and haunted house movies and pictures. I was trying to think of one of my favorites, and Poltergeist is one of my favorites, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later. Poltergeist gave way to not only two sequels, but a remake and a series called Poltergeist The Legacy. I don't want to get too much into that, but I was curious about Poltergeist 2, The Other Side, and Poltergeist 3. I'm going to talk about them because I think most of you are going to remember Poltergeist, but how many of you actually remember the sequels? In 1986, there was a sequel made, Poltergeist 2, The Other Side. Steven Spielberg, Toby Hooper, the people on the original one, had nothing to do with it. It's directed by Brian Gibson. It makes very little sense, but it made huge box office, made $75 million in 1986. The only key things about this is that, as far as things that stand out, are Julian Beck, who plays Kane, the villain, and Will Sampson, who plays the giant Native American tailor who helps the family. So what we find out is that they've moved away and they've started digging under where their house was, and they found that this guy Kane, this religious leader played by Julian Beck, had led these people to their deaths into this cave. They're buried under there, and that's where some of the spirits are going. And they're trying to find Carol Ann, of course, played by Heather O'Rourke. They want her to lead them to the other side. Same kind of story, and they're chasing him down. Julian Beck gave a particularly wonderful performance. I'm pretty sure he died of cancer before the movie was released, but he's fantastic in it. The problem is that the movie's just awful. They have to go all the way back. For some odd reason, there's a Native American man helping them. Once again, Will Sampson's amazing in it. It just makes no sense. There's a scene I remember as a child, and it comes back to me, of the dad, played by Craig T. Nelson, drinking tequila and drinks the worm and ends up spitting out the worm, and it's a monster. Some of the practical effects in it are fantastic. It's just the movie makes no damn sense. And I thought, well, this is terrible. Poltergeist 3 is another one that people hate. And I had the director on our show, Gary Sherman, on Bonehead, and he's made several other movies. And I was wondering if I went back and rewatched it, because I liked it as a kid, would it make sense? It came out 2 years later in 1988. It doesn't make any sense. It has all these cool visuals, and it makes no sense. So we follow Heather O'Rourke, basically Chicago, Manhattan, some city, doesn't matter. And she's living with her aunt and uncle, and they've just built this new giant building, and the ghosts have followed them there because she's remembering them, and it's the ghost of Kane, but Julian Beck died, so they have a stand-in who looks terrible. They want Carol Ann once again to take them across to the other side. The movie doesn't work. It's got Nancy Allen, Tom Skerritt, Lara Flynn Boyle, one of her first roles. They bring back Zelda Rubinstein, who's Tangina. Heather O'Rourke tragically died before finishing the making of the movie. You can watch Bonehead where I talked to Gary Sherman about a little bit of it. He doesn't like talking about it as much, and I understand why. He got into it, but it makes no sense. The only good thing about the movie, other than some of the visuals, other than a few of the special effects, is the mirror work. In fact, he's been traveling around, Gary Sherman, the director, talking about at film schools some of the mirror work. It has some of the most inventive mirror work. If you don't remember it, like you're looking in a mirror, flips here, and the people are walking and doing something different. There's a lot of good work in it. But Poltergeist 2 and Poltergeist 3, if you don't remember them, they still suck. Should you watch them? If you're into Poltergeist, I don't know why. I just wanted to talk about Poltergeist. And I don't even want to talk about the remake because it's absolutely pointless, even though it has a really great cast. So Poltergeist 2 and Poltergeist 3, they're both trash. This has been Joe Lewis, Bonehead Weekly.